the death toll in the islands along the path so far. That death toll is rising. It now stands at 10, at least 10 that we know about. We've just learned of 4 deaths in the U.S. Virgin Islands, 4 dead as well on St. Martin, another on Anguilla, and one on Barbuda, where, as you can see, the destruction is both widespread and in many places nearly complete, according to the Prime Minister. Turks and Caicos getting hit hard right now. And as we said at the top, there's at least one new sign, as Tom Sater reported earlier, that Hurricane Irma is getting stronger, which is where we start this hour with Tom in the Weather Center. So let's talk about what is the latest, Tom.
Well, about, I'd say 12 hours ago or so, we saw a 5-mile-per-hour drop in the sustained winds from 180 to 175. But you can't tell the difference. It's still a Category 5, and we're well into 60 hours now. But the 8 p.m. hour, we saw a drop in the pressure. Not much, but that tells you that it's trying to get a little stronger. It takes the winds a little time to catch up, Anderson, to that pressure drop. So it's still a well-oiled machine. It's firing on all cylinders. And of course, when we talk about this, we've got to talk about the watch that was issued today. If no one knows this, this is brand new, Hurricane Watch. This means business. This will change to a warning, which means conditions are imminent for a Category 3, 4, or 5 storm that is approaching. But when we talk about the track, and this is important, yesterday we saw a shift 60 to 70 miles more toward the east. Today we saw the model shift it back westward about another 15 to 20. So when we get in closer, what does that mean? Let's talk about are different. Now, there are several models. Well, actually, this is right into the storm surge, which we'll get to in a minute, because this is a big thing. When you have that watch and you have that model shifting off the coast, this is what a good, 5 to 10-foot storm surge is going to look like. It's wave after wave of this water crashing into the coastline, and it could extend not just in the canals and the streams and creeks, but well inland, possibly over a mile. Got to keep that in mind. Now, the models, as we were talking about, the spaghetti plots, they are still kind of hugging the east coast. Now, this is one way of looking at the computer models. And of course, we want agreement, and that's what we've had for a week now. The European model still places it, making its way in toward Key Largo and up Biscayne Bay. But this is different today, Anderson. This is the U.S. model. Yesterday at this time, the center of this model was east and offshore, much like Hurricane Matthew was just last year as it skirted up the coastline. This is significant because this puts the wind radius at its worst over Miami and the heavily populated areas. The wind radius in yellow is tropical storm force winds. In red, it's hurricane force winds, but white over Miami, catastrophic. That's what these models are hinting at. Both the European, which encases 50 computer models, and the U.S., the GFS, was encases 21. So you got over 70 models, both agreeing today. If we can, we'd like to see it move out. This again, like Matthew, which still caused major damage. Flagler Beach had a major damage, A1A, flooding up in Jacksonville, historic flooding in the Carolinas. This is the best case scenario. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that really is going to be the case, Anderson. So again, worst case scenario is what we're looking at right here and now.
And just before we get to Jose, do you have a sense of the timeline of this in terms of, for people who are in Miami, when they're going to start to feel increased winds and rain,
right,
and then when they're really, when they're going to feel them the most?
Well, when we look at the storm surge, it's always a great way to at least get an idea of when we're expecting those waves to shove the water in toward the coastline. And right now for Miami, it's 5 to 10 feet. But if you get in closer, we can kind of get more of a timeline as far as Friday night. It should be off the coast of Cuba. We're expecting on Saturday that turn northward. So by Sunday morning, the models put it right off the Keys. Just right off that Sunday early morning, 6 to 8 a.m. in the morning, and then making landfall in the day on Sunday, making its way northward on Monday. Now remember, it could still stay off the coastline, but when it comes to some of the surge events here, notice this is hard to read here, but this is from the National Hurricane Center. North Miami Beach, okay, then you've got North Bay Village and Miami to the south. Everything in blue is 1 to 3 feet of water that's well into the canals. If you drop southward, you get more of a storm surge near the center as it approaches. In this bright orange, this is 6 to 9 feet. That's why I was showing you that water level coming up. I mean, this does major damage. Most people think, oh, it's just the beaches, it's the dunes. It is not. It's well inland. And then still in yellow, you've got significant 3 to 6 foot storm surge moving in that direction even further in, Anderson.
All right, and then Jose behind. Tom Sater, thanks. We'll be checking back with Tom throughout this hour, as well as with Ed Rappaport of the National Hurricane Center shortly as new information comes in. Right now, as you heard, Turks and Caicos getting the worst of it. Heather Beaton, her husband, their 11-month-old son, the rest of her family members went down there for her brother's wedding. Needless to say, this is more than they bargained for. Heather and I spoke just before airtime. Heather, so you're stranded at a hotel in Turks and Caicos. Where in the hotel are you right now, and are you safe?
Yes, we are safe. We are actually in, they have several buildings on the property, and we are actually located on the 3rd floor in the Caribbean building.
I know you have your 11-month-old child with you. How's he doing?
He's doing very good. Obviously, he doesn't know exactly what's going on. We've been trying to be very positive with games, and we actually have him asleep right now in a crib in the bathroom where we think is the safest place for him to be and away from harm's way.
What's it been like trying to get off the island?
It's been a little bit challenging. We started preparing several days before, knowing that it could potentially hit this area. We reached out to Delta multiple times via Twitter, Facebook, phone calling, and we were unsuccessful. So I felt a little abandoned by the airline, not really knowing what they were going to do, still showing our flight that was scheduled for Friday was still on time. And then we did get added to an earlier flight, which was an existing flight for Thursday, still showing was on time. And unfortunately, the resort here, has done a really good job with updating us, and they actually informed us that the airport was closing Wednesday at 6 p.m. local time here. So we did not get any information from Delta, and so we were very unsuccessful in getting out. And we actually at this time don't even know when we will be able to leave. We haven't been updated from Delta with any information.
I mean, I got to say, that's got to be infuriating to have the airline saying, oh, this flight is happening. You're still on, you're good to go Thursday, you're good to go Friday, but not be informed that the airport is shutting down.
Correct. We actually got notified through the hotel that they were going to be hosting a meeting for all of us still remaining, which they've said is about 600 of us on property. And they did a phenomenal job with preparing us for and updating us with information. And they were actually the ones that told us that the airport was going to be shutting down. So we had no information from the airline whatsoever.
What do you plan to do during the night? I know I spoke to the governor of Turks and Caicos, who says the worst of it is going to be essentially for the next several hours.
Yeah, we did hear the hurricane sirens already go off. The windows are vibrating. The power has gone off and on, but I believe we're on generator right now. So it is quite scary. We have put the hotel, the resort has given us a lot of information on how to prepare. We've put mattresses up against our windows, pillows, blankets, and made sure water wouldn't come in. We've secured all the doors with latches. We've done a lot of anything that we possibly could to kind of make everything secure. So I don't know if we're going to have a really good sleep tonight, but we've done everything we can. We filled the bathtub up with water in case we run out of water. But the resort's done a very good job about giving us ample food and water, but we've also done anything we can since we know it's a very serious hurricane.
I mean, the good news is the hotel itself is staying open, so obviously you're able to stay there. Yes, correct.
Actually, the hotel has been fantastic. They have done a really good job. They actually still were serving food to all of us until 5:30 this evening, which is just before, and the hurricane, from what we've been told, is still 40 miles away from us, and they've still been serving food and providing linens and water. So they've really done, they've really stepped up to the plate. Highly excellent service for them.
Well, Heather, I wish you and your family the best, and everybody there. We'll continue to check in with you in the days ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, making sure everybody who needs to get out of the Miami area does, in fact, make it out quickly is only one of many responsibilities tonight for Miami-Dade County Mayor Carlos Jimenez. He joins us now by phone. Mayor, evacuations are underway all over Miami-Dade County right now. Do you feel like people there are taking this seriously? Are you satisfied with what you're seeing?
I'm satisfied with what I'm seeing, but again, there are always going to be some people that will not heed the warnings, and so that's all we can do. We can warn people, but I am satisfied with the preparations. I think people are taking this storm very seriously. It is a very serious storm and a very serious situation for us. So, we're getting everybody prepared. We've given 600,000 people evacuation orders yesterday and today, and hopefully they'll heed them.
How easy is it for people to evacuate? Obviously, there's a lot of canceled flights at the airport, but if somebody's trying to drive out or get a bus out, what's the traffic like moving north? I know there are only a few direct routes north.
Well, I mean, when we say evacuate, we really don't mean that you're going to be evacuating Miami-Dade County. You're going to be evacuating into a